Hello, it's Migos Impossible. I'm Migos, my name is Tam316, and welcome back to another reaction video, and welcome to another reaction to Have I Got News For You. It has been a little bit since I've watched an episode of the show. How long has it been? Maybe like last September? I'm actually going to look it up because I am actually unaware. It has been since October, so a little bit, since last October. Today we are going to watch an episode from Series 46. Series 46, Episode 3, premiered in 2013. It was hosted by Stephen Merchant. I don't think I've seen this intro before. Oh my god. That was an interesting one.
Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Stephen Merchant. In the news this week, desperate to start another fight with the Daily Mail, Ed Miliband is persuaded not to by his spin doctors.
Whoa.
At a press conference in London, Cheryl Cole offers to show off her new arse tattoo. And in Westminster, the day before throwing an egg at a politician, a very methodical protester rehearses her plan.
Boy.
On Ian's team tonight is the presenter of BBC One Saturday night series I Love My Country, described by the Daily Mail as a show for everyone except Ralph Miliband. Please welcome Gabby Logan. And with Paul tonight is an actor and comedian whose mother is one of the best makeup artists in the country. So I dread to think what he really looks like. Please welcome Hal Cruttenden. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Hal, take a look at this.
Yes, this is Chinese opera, and that's George Osborne in China, looking very pleased that he's there at the opera. There's
Oh god.
Mr. Toad?
Yes, this is Boris and George in China.
That's right, they were there on a charm offensive.
Yes.
Boris provided the charm.
Yes.
And,
But did you see that George had all the girls?
well, he's a good-looking, smooth operator, isn't he?
He is.
It's that haircut, isn't it?
And 10% off wallpaper.
Now, it was supposed to be Boris's trip. Why did George get along? How did he manage just to weasel in? Why did he weasel in? Did he weasel in? I don't know. I've been in America. I don't know what's going on.
Is he a
In a
weasel?
fancy way, like, you know, I've been in America. I was. Yeah, I was fancy, actually. It was Los Angeles. Screw you. No, it was. Why was George along?
It was meant to be Boris's trip to start with.
Right.
And then I think that the suggestion was that Boris might need a chaperone.
That's probably
There's
true.
some suggestion as well, perhaps, that George was also trying to make up for previous incidents that had occurred.
Last year,
Yes.
they met the Dalai Lama,
Right.
and that upset the Chinese.
George and Boris?
No,
No.
David Cameron.
Cameron
Am I right?
and Clegg.
Cameron and Clegg.
Yes, he took Clegg with him. so
Cleggy
that-
and Camo. They
Yeah.
met Lamo.
He did.
Well, the Chinese are terrified of the Dalai Lama because he's a threat to their national security. You can tell from this picture how terrifying he is. Look at him. I mean, striking fear.
He's very scary.
How did Boris upstage, George?
I don't know, tell us.
Thank you. It was a big speech at Peking University. Any ideas?
Did he speak Pekingese? Which is...
Pekingese? Isn't that dog? Did he speak dog?
Probably.
I was
No,
trying
he
to
spoke
find...
orange or mandarin.
Well, you're on the right lines, yeah. George was trying to make the point that China was so important to the British people that his daughter was learning Mandarin at school. And then Boris said, I can tell you that my own daughter is not only learning Mandarin, she's coming out here next week. How about that, George? How about that, George? Swivel.
Fuck you, George.
Here's a picture, by the way, of George and Boris looking pally. There you are.
Why are you sitting like
There you
that?
go, pal.
Nothing he ever does about his appearance is accidental.
Yeah.
The tie is placed there. Very...
Why are you sitting like that?
Phallic tie. Why is that woman looking so disgusted?
She's looking at Boris Johnson.
They both went there on a sales pitch, and I think because people have said that both of them might take over the government one day. It's an extraordinary thought, isn't it?
Is that Angus in the background?
They were both trying to show, I can sell more stuff to China than you can. And they both made these speeches. Did you see Boris's speech? He said the reason that China would love us because Harry Potter's first girlfriend was Chinese.
How did the Independent
She was.
describe George Osborne and Boris Johnson?
Well, they described them as yin and yang.
Did they really?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Someone described them as yin and yang. These
well-
elemental forces that
Shape the world.
You did just now.
and disappear up each other in that symbol.
Oh, that's horrific. That's...
I'm just trying to add a bit of upmarket Chinese philosophy.
In actuality, they're more Ant and Dec. Yes. So.
But now I've got Ant and Dec going up each other. It's...
Oh.
And what was George offering the Chinese, according to the Independent? You mentioned trade, but what else?
Oh, anything. What is it? They're going to take over Manchester, nuclear
It's
power?
going to be a lot easier to get in.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, according to the Independent, George was offering no limit to the number of Chinese who can study in Britain, no limit to the number of Chinese tourists who can visit, and no limit to the amount of business we can do together, which chimes in perfect harmony with the Home Secretary, who wants fewer Chinese investors, fewer students, and fewer tourists to meet the target for net immigration. Staying in the Mystic East, what's the big news from the Himalayas?
It's the Yeti.
Go on.
The Yeti.
They think the Yeti... Well, they know the Yeti doesn't exist because we would have found one by now, but they think it might be a bear.
Right.
That's what they're saying, isn't it? A bear
Bear.
covered in snow.
That's
A
it,
snow
absolutely
bear.
right, yeah. And do we know who covets or has coveted a Yeti?
Tom Cruise?
Could be the cruise machine.
Do you know him? Have you met him?
Do I know Cruise? Maybe
Yeah.
I went to dinner while I was in LA at Cruise's house.
How was it?
Great. Lovely bit of chicken.
Did he wear lifts in his shoes to meet you? He must
I'm
have
not
done.
answering those kind of questions.
bet.
Did he try to convert you to Scientology?
I played pool with his pool cue from The Colour of Money. Yeah. Played with Tom Cruise's pool cue. That sounds weird.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Oh, there you
A
are.
little bit.
No, do we know who else coveted the Yeti? Alexander the Great.
He wanted one.
He wanted one. Don't judge, different times.
It's like a Porsche Cayenne now, isn't it? People kind of... Things that people
He's giving
want.
you that look as though he's got
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh,
got
sorry.
a Porsche Cayenne. No.
You wouldn't fit in a Porsche, would you?
All right, come on.
Sorry. Well, it's a good thing. I bet you've got a Range Rover.
I'm
have
only
you?
mentioning that because I did a show recently and I mentioned Yorkshire tea and a huge box arrived.
Really? Oh, Gabby,
I like
tacos.
tacos.
Aren't Rolex watches amazing?
Where are the tacos at?
I really like Filipino women.
Me too. I like Japanese
This is the latest
women.
attempt to sell Britain to China. At a press
No?
conference in
All right.
Beijing, when Boris Johnson was asked about threats of violence against dissenting journalists and a shameful record on women and abortions, Boris said, "Can we just talk about China instead?" Boris was keen to point out that the first girl that Harry Potter ever kissed was a Chinese student called Cho Chang. If you're wondering, Harry kissed her in the Goblet of Fire. They had to cut that scene out from the film to get a PG rating. Ian and Gabby, take a look at this.
It's the policeman saluting Andrew Mitchell, who was the
Kissing.
victim of a
Meep, meep.
plot. He's saying goodbye to his career as they stitch him up. This is Plebgate.
Yes.
We're finally coming to the end of it.
Maybe not. It seems
Yes.
that there should be somebody hung out for this.
Yeah, well, there've
That's
been
the
some...
implication, isn't
yeah,
it?
well, the CPS are looking at prosecuting some policemen.
So it's probably not the end then.
OK, it's not the... Oh, God, all right, it's not the end at all.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
It's been going on for a year already, hasn't it?
Yes, he had to resign. He was chief whip for supposedly calling a policeman a pleb. But then it turned out that the version of the events which the police gave wasn't strictly true, and the police log, a bit like Hillsborough and those other things, wasn't actually a record of events, more a sort of fantasy of what they would like to have happened. But finally, it's all coming out, and a lot of policemen will end up either being arrested or being forced to apologise.
Well, according to The Guardian, the phrase that Mitchell consistently denied using was this. Although the Mail said it was this. Well, how long did the original incident actually last, the actual incident?
45
seconds.
seconds.
45 seconds. And so far it's cost...
£250,000
Yes, it has, yes.
to investigate.
Can we get the Chinese pay for that?
Maybe.
But they must really not have liked him. There must have been a build-up of animosity towards him.
Yeah, do you think he'd ridden up to the gates most days and said, open it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
That is a good point.
Open, come on!
If they outed this guy for calling someone a pleb,
Bike here, eco!
yeah, they must have really not liked him.
You know, it's a terrible dilemma. Do you believe a Tory member of the cabinet or a policeman? You know, public's got a real problem there. But...
In other news, which major international figure fell foul of the law in a Westminster street this week?
Oh, yes, Hillary Clinton. It was a car, wasn't it? It was parked probably illegally or something. It was a picture in one of the papers, I think. Her car's surrounded by SAS men, or whatever they're called, SS men, Secret Service, CIA, CIA, all that lot. And they were standing around remonstrating with this public servant who refused to take up the ticket.
Absolutely right. A spokesman for Westminster Council told The Telegraph, Mrs Clinton can now download a new app for her iPhone, which will tell her in real time where a parking space is available in Westminster, the only place in London where this is possible. Slight whiff of the PR department. Finally, would anyone like to see Labour MP Diane Abbott neatly deflect a question from Andrew Neil this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
Why did Ed Miliband fire you?
Good afternoon.
Textbook.
In that picture there, it looks like the vase behind her is pulling a sad face at her resignation.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, this is the return of Plebgate. Andrew Mitchell attempted to draw a line under the scandal a year ago. According to the Mail, last October, Mr Mitchell met 3 members of the Police Federation. I think we all know how that meeting started. Hello, hello, hello. I mean, come on, I'm here now at the park here.
He's on fire
Meanwhile,
tonight.
this week, a man has been fined £100 after hiding in a wardrobe during a police raid. He nearly got off on a technicality as the police hadn't finished counting to 20. And so to round 2, and it's the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, please, teams.
Man discovered inside loaf of bread. Putting bread in your ears makes you deaf.
This isn't these hybrid things like cronuts, and I've been reading about...
Cronuts?
It's like a croissant mixed with a donut.
Ah.
this would be a maggot then, a man mixed with a baguette.
Very good.
That's right. A man must have gone into hospital and he had a headache for 15 years, didn't know what it was, and they opened him up and they found a piece of bread inside his brain. It's one of those stories, isn't it? A man with a piece of bread in his head.
Well, it's approaching that if you went back to the 17th century.
Is it something sexual?
Did they used to put bread in people's heads in the 17th century when they had really bad migraines?
Yeah, and if it grew into a loaf, you were a witch.
Migraines?
You're inching closer, yes. This is the discovery of a remarkable medical textbook by 17th century royal physician Dr. William Sermon. Do we know how he cured earache?
They put bread in your ear.
Yeah. How did Dr. Sermon suggest people cure toothache?
Rub the infected tooth against the backside of a fox in the moonlight while whistling Londonderry Air backwards.
I believe it.
That was if you couldn't get an erection.
Ah.
Any other ideas for a toothache?
You spread something on it.
Yes.
Rancid.
Yes. but
Rancid
what?
something.
OK, I'm interested.
Poo or something?
Oh, come on. You were having a lovely time with the moonlit fox. It was beautiful. And then it's you lowering it
I thought
again.
it was going to be something like that.
Is it aspirin?
Yeah, it was take aspirin and see a proper doctor. It was rub watercress into the gums. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Obama.
Is it anything to do with the fact that people who work for the American government have this week gone back to work?
It's exactly that. Well done. Yes.
America hasn't closed down. There was a possibility the whole country was just going to pack it in.
Yep.
Just give up completely and say, no, we can't do it.
Yeah, see you later.
I don't know what's been going on in America.
Is that why everybody was free to play pool? Because no one was working?
Yeah.
Was he there? Was Barack there as well?
No, he's on the phone saying, no, Tom, I can't come.
Stephen Merchant, never heard of him, I bet he said.
So, yeah, so what exactly was happening in America that has now not happening anymore.
Well, the Republicans weren't agreeing a deal on paying back the debt.
Right.
And it got nearer and nearer and nearer the deadline, and they thought Obama would cave in and say, I'll forget my healthcare plan. But he didn't. He just said, no. We either fall over the cliff together and the world goes with us, or we come to an agreement, and they came to an agreement. So it's an absolutely extraordinary story about common sense breaking out, even amongst the Tea Party, you know, which is quite big news.
How long is America now open for, now that they've reopened?
24 hours.
January.
It's called the Fiscal Cliff.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a wonderful term.
When you go off the Fiscal Cliff, do you hit Bankruptcy Beach at the bottom? Financial tide moves away.
And you pass go, it's like
Let's them
200.
extend their overdraft the whole
Well, it's the
time.
Chinese own most of the bonds.
Right.
There's a debt of something like a zillion gillion.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
bad.
a technical term, you'll follow me. And the Chinese own most of it.
But can all of us get an account with the Chinese?
There's a firm called Wonga.
Extending.
Does anyone know how high the debt ceiling actually was before the deal kicked in?
It's 16,000 billion, I think.
That's right. 16.7 trillion.
Same thing.
The papers, which the papers helpfully explain that as being 10.5 trillion pounds.
That's good, because normally they explain everything in football pitches, don't they?
How many football pitches?
Everything in size in this country is explained in football pitches. Have you noticed
No
that?
wonder I've got no spatial awareness.
I prefer if it was basketball courts, personally. I just...
Did you shoot some hoops?
Of course I shot some hoops, 6'7".
Of course he did.
No, honestly, I can't play basketball, but I genuinely love going to basketball games because they're so tall, I feel like I'm among my people.
Yeah. It's just like my youngest daughter is ginger, and I have the same feeling when we go to Scotland. It's like her people.
Where has this left the Republican Party?
In disarray.
Right?
Yes, yeah, so
Per usual.
coming out a bit badly.
Absolutely right. According to the Times, the Republican Party's approval rating has dipped to an all-time low of 24%. So they shut down the government. They almost brought the world economy to its knees, but they're still more popular than the Lib Dems, who are on 9%. Yeah, this is the news that the US has reopened for business. The US shutdown was described by one commentator as the greatest ever threat to homeland security. Bit of a slap in the face for Al-Qaeda, didn't it? Fingers on buzzers teams for the next one.
Welcome to Hull. Oh,
Have they shut the Humber Bridge to stop people going to Hull?
Stop people going to Hull.
Yeah.
They don't want any more tourists. They've got enough.
it's too crowded
Maybe they're
there.
trying a new slogan, Hull, one letter different from hell. Could be it, couldn't it?
Well, you're in the right neighbourhood. Both of you in the right neighbourhood.
John Prescott's from Hull, or he's MP for Hull.
Yeah.
That's why they just close Hull.
Yes.
They didn't let him back in.
He's not an MP anymore, is he? I wasn't being... No, he
Member
says...
of the House of Lords.
Oh, right. He's a lord in Hull as well.
Is he the Lord of Hull?
Well, I don't know. I am the Lord of Hull.
It is to do with Hull, but it's actually The Economist magazine. They have a very specific view on Hull.
It should be shut down. Is that what they...
Absolutely right, yes. The Economist magazine thinks that the city should be closed down along with Burnley, Middlesbrough and Hartlepool.
Closed down.
Just closed down.
Why?
The Economist describes
Because-
any efforts to save struggling northern communities as misguided.
Damn.
You lived in Leeds, didn't you?
I was born in
You were
Leeds.
born in Leeds?
Yeah.
Should they close that down?
Leeds is doing very well. It's
Is it doing-
thriving.
Have you heard of Leeds, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a football team in Leeds, isn't there?
There is. Leeds United. Yeah.
You see? Local knowledge.
Yeah, there you go.
Paul, any view on Leeds?
So good they named it once.
Yes, this is The Economist magazine's plan to shut Hull. Grim, dull and uninspiring. The Economist comes out every week.
Good luck with that
Fingers
one.
on buzzers teams.
63 years.
Paul.
Useless watch is marketed.
Is this a smartwatch?
In some ways.
Ah, this is about life expectancy. It
Yeah.
measures your health. That's what it's got to be, isn't it? It
Now,
measures
hang
your-
on, wait, you've been here for years, I don't know the rules. They buzz, but you started answering.
Ian's a ventriloquist.
Is it predicting how much longer the world's going
I'll
to
watch
be
him for the answer.
habitable?
time remaining 63 years, that's the clue, isn't it? It must be making your blood pressure, or it sort of measures your breath or something. And something about you have that on it, tells you you've got 63 years left. So you're not really worried about that point, but when it gets to like 6 minutes and 34 seconds, then you start looking for quality time.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly
Really?
what it is.
Yeah.
Don't people get hit by cars or something? Wouldn't they get a refund if it's...
What, looking at
Good
the
point.
watch?
When you go, I was...
You know the amazing thing about this? This is not a joke. This is serious. My associate, Carl Pilkington, genuinely came up with this idea about 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
And he's
Did he?
Yeah, the watch does work, as you say, by calculating your death date, by taking into account
I believe
various
it.
stress factors that could hasten your death, like smoking, drinking, and wearing a watch that constantly reminds you you're about to die.
Give Carl his fucking
You
money.
probably lie to your own watch.
Yeah.
The watch says how many units you go. Hardly any. 2, 3, maybe, you know, glass with Downton.
I'd adjust that number with a little switch on the side, put it up to another 20.
Yeah.
Somebody pay Carl.
That'd be the thing to do.
You imagine Bruce Forsyth's watch.
Technically, it's a sundial.
I do hope that Rolex makes this watch. And if they don't, I love them anyway.
Filipino women can shorten your life, I tell you.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Don't get too many tacos. Oh, God. Is that Humpty Dumpty?
This is the new motto for the Fukushima nuclear power plant, which had a meltdown last year. And unbelievable, I don't know if I can actually say this live, but this character, because it's Fukushima, is known as Fuck-Uppy.
Amazingly, you're almost exactly right. It's the mascot of Fukushima Industries, which makes commercial freezers. Is anyone interested in seeing the mascot of the Fukushima nuclear power plant? They do have a mascot.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Massive.
Can you show the original one again? It looks like Ross Kemp. When he... Do you remember? I mean, it does.
Talking of Japanese mascots, who do you think this is?
Is that an aubergine on his head?
Yeah,
No idea.
It is.
I couldn't confirm or deny if that's
Oh, I
an
see.
aubergine.
Doesn't help.
They are going to host... Did they not get the Olympics, didn't they, in 2020?
You may be right. You know all about sports.
Well, not
No, I
necessarily in
don't think they
2020. Maybe
Sounded a lot
2021.
more like Devon.
Little did you know.
He's actually a mascot for a Japanese prison.
Oh!
This is Fuck-Uppy, the mascot for a Japanese refrigeration company. It really is a schoolboy error for a company to leave the name of its fridges open to such puerile jokes, said the managing director of SMEG. Time now for the odd one out round, just one between you this week. Cambridge, the Pharaoh Ramesses II, Princess Michael of Kent, and the Environment Minister Owen Paterson.
I have no idea. Any thoughts on this?
I've no clue. It's not anything to do with mummification, but no, it can't be.
Well, to expand, I'm interested to know what you're thinking might be.
Princess Michael's still alive, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everything
If
else
she
has been
were-
mummified, including
Yeah.
Cambridge.
Yes.
Anything to do with counties? Owen Paterson is trying to kill badgers in Gloucestershire. Princess Michael of Kent.
Right.
Cambridge.
Yes.
Shire.
Yeah. Gabby, you were on to something earlier when you mentioned badgers.
Owen
Mushroom,
Paterson looks like a
mushroom.
badger. With
It does, yeah.
OK.
Princess Michael of Kent is manning the badger watch line.
There's a whole bunch of badgers
Yeah.
that are causing trouble.
Badger.
Right.
But
No, that was a locust. That was a plague of
there's been
locusts.
right. There's a okay, plague of locusts, plague of
Oh,
okay.
plague.
So
Plague.
well, all right.
Plagues.
So come on.
Oh, so she's got a plague of something in the
Oh,
thingy.
she
He's got a
has.
plague of badgers.
She had a
Cambridge
plague-
has got a plague of undergraduates.
Everybody has a plague.
No,
Everybody-
Cambridge
Apart
hasn't.
from Patterson, who is a plague.
Oh,
Well done.
There
Well
we
done.
go.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations. It's actually they've been plagued by frogs.
Oh.
Except Environment Minister Owen Paterson, who was plagued by badgers. What does Princess Michael claim to have done only once since she got married?
She's had 2 children, hasn't she?
Right.
Twins.
Went to the high street once.
Well done. Absolutely right. Yes. She said, I've only walked down a high street once in my married life. Obviously, Ramesses II, do we know what he suffered from a plague of?
Is it rats? Would it be rats?
I've given it away. It was actually frogs. I said that. And what about Cambridge? No, you may have actually missed this story. This was in the Cambridge News. There was a man on his boat in Cambridge, Alistair Curry Crawford, who suddenly noticed there were a lot of frogs all over the place. Here he is.
Oh.
Wow.
He said there were so many frogs you couldn't walk around without it being genocide. I can only think they came from the sky because they suddenly appeared from nowhere.
That's pretty quickly.
It happened, this incident, on the 23rd of July, earlier in the year. According to the Cambridge News, just 24 hours after the Duchess of Cambridge gave birth to the new prince.
Aha.
Voters on the cam thought they were getting an army of frogs to accompany the new prince.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they've all been plagued by frogs, apart from Owen Paterson. In an article in the Sunday Times, Princess Michael of Kent talks about being told she had to downsize, adding, it was the worst word I'd heard in ages. That's only because when she goes out, she thinks people are calling her that posh Kent. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Bonsai Focus, dedicated to the art of cultivating tiny Japanese trees. Bonsai Focus, by the way, has a mascot called Grow the Fuck Uppy. And we start with print your own what?
Tiny plans for a treehouse.
Body part.
It's a body part. It's definitely a body part.
Kidney.
Gallbladder.
It's bladder. Well done. Absolutely right. Yeah, print your own bladder. Well done. Yeah, no, it took 2 decades for scientists to develop a 3D printer that could create body parts. And it's going to take the first customer 2 minutes before he starts printing a pair of boobs.
Accurate.
BBC pays $5 million to what?
Obama.
Going to BT Sport. That's obviously a complete lie.
It sounded like a pitch to me.
Is it to lure Noel Edmonds back?
Where's he gone?
He's at Channel 4.
Where's he gone? Deal or no deal?
Is he there? That's it, he can't
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, he lives in the little box. He has a whale of a time when he don't know. Sometimes he's like in number
5
9,
million
sometimes
deal.
he's number 15.
Yeah.
5 million.
We're bringing back the clangers. So
No.
keep that.
Bring back the clangers.
Deal or no deal.
And finally, success means Mr. Kobayashi is on...
Drugs.
Top of Mrs. Kobayashi.
On top of the world, looking down at a very small creation.
It's actually a path of conflict with the bonsai world.
Oh, shit.
So, the final scores are... Paul and Hal have an epic 5. Ian and Gabby triumphant with 11.
Damn, y'all got... Yeah.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Gabby Logan, Paul Merton and Hal Cruttenden. And I leave you with news that at a film premiere in London, Tom Hanks finally meets the man who inspired the character of Forrest Gump. As the Miss China contest ends in a draw, the judge announces it'll all come down to the tie-break round. And there's more shock reactions to Cheryl Cole's arse tattoo as she's spotted sunbathing naked in her garden. Good night.
Good night. You know, I gotta say, that was a pretty chill episode. I've seen a lot of episodes where, you know, everyone's at each other's throats and stuff like that, but those 5 vibed pretty well together. Everyone actually seemed to get along pretty well. So, nice change of pace. Maybe not best for regular viewing, because, you know, the bitchiness is what people remember. But nice change of pace, you know? Everybody vibed pretty well. So I have no idea when this is going to be uploaded. I'm anticipating, hopefully, it going up over the weekend, but I don't actually know, because I usually have to wait for these to be unblocked. Usually it doesn't take that long though, so hopefully it'll be fine, but I guess we'll see. That is it for me later. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to leave suggestions in the comment sections for what episode it is I should watch next. That is it for me later. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to leave it a like. If you didn't like it, don't. If you want to follow any of my social media links, they're all in the video description down below, as well as names of all my patrons. If you didn't know, you can be a patron on me for as low as $1 or £1, and you get extra direction videos, as well as reading your comments at the early, sometimes more. With all being said though, my name is Stafford. This has been my... Ooh... I actually don't remember what number this is. You know what, I'm gonna look it up. I was on it earlier, but I forgot the number. Is this 14? Yes, 14th reaction. Have I got news for you? And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.